Hey, what's going on? Aaron here. Hope you're doing well. If you're watching this video right now, you might be checking out this website right here called Remotely4u, and you're wondering, can you really make $500 a week becoming a chat operator working from anywhere in the world? All right, let's check out this website to see whether this is a good way to generate some extra income for yourself, or is this a waste of time, right? And anytime, if you want to get my favorite way to get to $5,000 to $10,000 a month, 100% from home, go ahead and click the link below, and I'll send you my favorite strategy straight to your email if you want to check that out. All right, now, I've reviewed hundreds and hundreds of different ways to make money online, things like this, different, remote jobs, different make money online websites, watching ads, filling out surveys, all sorts of different business models, all types of different courses. And some of them are great ways to make money online, but a lot of them are a little bit of a waste of time. They require tons and tons and hours of back-breaking work. You get paid very little, and some of them are straight up scams. So let's take a look at Remotely4u to see how this stacks up against other opportunities. All right, so Remotely4u is actually a legit chat operating service where you can chat to people based in the US, but you can be based anywhere in the world, and you don't have to show your face, or you don't have to get on a phone call. It's all 100% you just typing on your computer, right? So either a PC or a laptop. Now, the way that this works is you're going to be chatting with regular Americans. Again, you can be based anywhere in the world, and it's a fantasy network, all right? So you basically have to take on a character, and you're basically going to be chatting with Americans about all sorts of different things. So whether it's the weather, whether it's relationships, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, whether it's different opinions. And the idea is just to give them a little bit of company, because there are a lot of lonely people out there, all right? So the objective here is not to really get into, deep discussions or arguments. It's more just about becoming someone's virtual friend, taking on a character and a role. And that's something that you have to be okay with, all right? So you're not really going to be 100% yourself, right? So you're going to have to play a character, and sometimes you're going to have to bend the truth and sometimes just not tell the truth at all, and you have to be okay with that, right? Because the whole idea is it's a fantasy network. That's a very, very important thing to understand. If you're okay with that, then this is something that you might be able to do. If you're not so okay with that, and you feel like maybe you're lying to the customers on this particular service, then maybe this is not the right job for you, right? But if you're okay with that, then this is something that you might be able to apply for, right? So you can click on apply for right here. It's very, very simple. As long as you're over 18, you can apply for this particular role. You can be based anywhere in the world, but very, very important is you must speak really good English, or you must be able to type good English anyway. You don't have to speak it because you're not speaking to anybody, but you have to type English like a native English speaker. That's really important. All right. Now, the cool thing is they're gonna take you through the training. So you only need to be over 18. Give your photo ID to them, and they'll provide the rest of the training for you if you get accepted into the role. Okay. So again, having an open mindset is very important. Okay, because they've depending on who you're chatting with, they will have different fantasies. Okay, so sometimes you will need to talk about stuff that you're uncomfortable about talking about. And if that's not something you want to do, this might not be the right role for you. That's really important to understand, right? You'll be 100% anonymous, okay? You'll be able to work independently, flexibility, how often you want, and help those in need, or on who you're actually talking to, right? So how much do you get paid? That's a very, very important question, especially with this type of job, right? It's basically like this, okay? So you need to basically work at least 4 hours a day if you want to do fairly okay in this particular role, all right? So if you don't have, I would say, at least 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, then you probably don't want to become a fantasy chat operator, all right? But if you have at least 4 hours, 4 to 8 hours, 8 hours a day is full-time hours basically, right? You can earn anywhere from $100 to $300 per week. It really depends on how many hours you're putting in, how many replies are you giving to your potential customers, and that will differentiate how much money you can potentially earn. Now, some of the top agents make $3,000 per month. That's what they claim, okay? But let's take a look at that a little bit more to see whether you really can make $3,000 a month just by being a fantasy chat operator, right? Now, the nice thing about Remotely4u, they pay different bonuses, all right? Depending on when you're working, whether you're working peak hours on the weekends and stuff like that. You don't necessarily have to, but you can. And they actually pay out every single week through a payment service called BitSafe, all right? So they pay out in euros, which is almost equivalent to the US dollar, all right? But again, you're probably, you can be based anywhere in the world, but this is kind of how it works out for them, all right? So again, good English writer, over 18 years old, and you have to obviously have your own equipment, so you must have a good internet connection and a laptop or a PC, and then you can be, verified to work in this particular job, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about how much you can get paid. I like that they list this all out here, all right? So in week number 1, as a brand new chat operator, you're gonna have to learn the system. So you're not gonna be able to earn as much, okay? But roughly you're gonna be replying 25 to 35 messages per hour. If we're talking about a total of 15 to 20 hours per week work, that's roughly about 4 hours per day. Okay, so we're starting off here at like part-time hours, right? But it's still 4 hours a day, right? You can, in the first week, potentially make between $110 and $170 that week. Okay, week number 2, as you get more experience and you get better at sending and replying messages, you understand what the incentive and bonuses are. So maybe you start working peak hours, right? And peak hours is usually after working hours. It's usually in the evenings and at night. That's when people are online the most, and on weekends, of course, right? Then you can work, and you can work more hours. So 20 to 30 hours per week. That's almost full-time hours. That's roughly about 6 hours per day. Okay, so we're starting to get to full-time hours. You can make roughly about 220 to 280 per week. Then now once you become, week number 4 plus, you start understanding how to become really fast at this. You're replying to 45 to 60 messages an hour, right? Now we're talking about full-time hours. Okay, again, 6 to 8 hours per day. You can be paid roughly about $340 plus per week. Okay, so not too bad. Now this is based hopefully you can see that there. Hopefully my face is not blocking it right now, right? So again, this is based on what they think it is, but let's talk about the reality of this particular offer, okay? And how much you can really, really make, all right? And I think it's pretty cool to get started. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of Remotely4u. The things that I like about it, number 1, is that anybody in the world can do this, and the barrier to entry is very low. You just need to be over 18 years old, you need to provide your photo ID, and you have to be able to type English like a native speaker. That's really important, okay? If you don't type like a native speaker, then unfortunately you're not gonna get this job. The other thing that you must have is obviously a computer, a laptop or PC, and an internet connection, which most people around the world have, okay? So I think that the barrier to entry into this is actually pretty low, and most people can actually do this if you really want to do this, right? What are some of the disadvantages? Some of the disadvantages are that not everybody wants to play a character that they're not in, that they're not, actually are in real life, which means that you have to bend the truth. Sometimes you have to tell lies, because you have to play a role, which is okay. You're basically an actor, essentially, right? And you are building good relationships with their potential clients on this particular service, right? Which is okay, but you have to be 100% comfortable with doing that. You might have to talk about stuff that you're not necessarily comfortable talking about, and if that's the case, then this definitely will not be the right job for you. But if you're okay with that, then this could be potentially really good, okay? Now, I like how they lay out how much income you can make, but here is the big problem with this, all right? Even if you're working full hours, that means 8 hours a day, 5, maybe 6 days a week, you're working, you're taking advantage of all their bonuses and incentives. How much you get paid also really, really depends on how many customers they have. Because if you're working full hours, like 8 hours a day, but they don't have the customers for you in order for you to chat with, right? Because that might be, that it might be a supply and demand issue, right? They might not have enough customers for you to talk to, then unfortunately you might not be able to make the income that they're talking about, okay? So maybe you might not be able to make $350 a week, all right? That comes in total to about $1,400, $1,500. So it's not amazing income, right? But it's not bad depending on where you live in the world, okay? It's still a lot of work, because remember that if you're working, 4 to 8 hours a day typing, it can be very, very stressful, right? It takes a lot of energy to type all the time. You have to be talking to people, and you have to treat them in a really, really good way, and that can be pretty stressful for some people. It just really depends on who you are. You might be able to get more used to it, but please understand that chatting to people 8 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week is going to be a tiring job. Okay, can you make okay income? Yeah, I think you can make okay income. You could probably make better income in different jobs out there working virtually, right? This is a tough job for the amount of effort that you're going to put in, but depending on where you live in the world, $350 a day, sorry, a week, not a day, a week, might be pretty good income for you, right? For some people, like if you live in the US, or if you live in, one of the bigger countries, then $350 a week for 8 hours a day, for 40 hours a week of work is actually very, very little money. You're probably better off doing something else, right? And it's pretty tough work. So it really depends on your personal situation. That's what I would say. But it's definitely legit if you would like to check it out. It's a very interesting remote role, remotely4u.com. All right. Now, if you're here watching this video right now and you are looking for a way to generate extra income, but you don't know how, right? Maybe you're in research mode, you're looking for some sort of virtual income. Remember that jobs like this are great because they're virtual and you can do it from anywhere in the world, but it's still a job, right? It's still a job. That means that if you're not working 8 hours a day or 4 hours a day, you're not going to be generating any income, all right? So you're still trading your time for money. So if you want to move away from that kind of model, right? I moved away from that in April 2019, where I don't necessarily have to be working every single day, but I'm still generating a lot of income, right? And if you want to learn to generate big income, we're talking about hundreds of dollars a day, not hundreds of dollars a week, then I've got a favorite strategy to get you to 5 to 10,000 US dollars a month. If you would like to check it out, click the link below and I'll send you my favorite strategy to get you to 5 to 10K a month, 100% from home. You can check that out if you would really like to. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this review of Remotely4u, and I hope to see you on another video review. Take care.